Okay,
Hello.
I don't think anyone's here, but hello.
Yes.
This is the live broadcast video of the YA book club that we just started here at the Okeechobee Library. So welcome to our channel. The first book we're discussing this month is Girls with Sharp Sticks, which is by
Suzanne Young.
Suzanne Young, yes. We'll go ahead and just start discussing it, wait to see if people come in or not. But starting off, this book made me so mad. This book made me angry. But it was a really good book. So do you want to give a short synopsis?
Oh, sure. It's about a girl named Mina who is at a boarding school that is a little bit strange, and it's secretive, and it's billed as being for elite young girls, which as you slowly progress through the novel you find out maybe not what's happening.
It's crazy.
But it's kind of like a school for brainwashing girls, and it's all male teachers, and it's kind of trying to shape them into what young girls should be. And it's Mina's journey in finding out what's really happening at the school and how to change things.
It's definitely not what you expect going into it. So I just read an article where they had 5 questions with the author on what inspired the book. And she started it just with girls at a private school and kind of started with that idea and wanted to see where it goes. But she saw a billboard that said something along the lines of, he will provide so that women can appreciate, or he provides, women appreciate, something like that. And I think the billboard was intended to like build up young men, but she was very angry is her response to that. Because instead how it came off, and I agree it kind of does come off this way, is that depend on a guy to provide for you because you can't do it yourself, and just be appreciative when he does provide. And that's a theme that goes through this book constantly.
Yeah.
Of you should be grateful and you should do everything that a man does for you because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
And he is meant to provide for you. So at this school, which is Innovations Academy, which was built in, it used to be like a technology company, which I didn't take to mean much to begin with at the beginning.
Yeah, me either. I thought it was weird that they kept bringing that up. Like, it's sprinkled throughout the beginning several times that this used to be a tech company, and I didn't really...
No connection at all. But this academy, Innovations Academy, is where girls are sent, or where there are only female students. It's a private school, where they're taught to be perfect girls, like you said. So they aren't taught math or science or anything like that. They're taught etiquette. And I mean, are they taught like how to set like a perfect, like how to pour tea and stuff like that? It was really, like I said, it kind of made me mad from the get-go.
Yeah, and they're also like graded on their appearance, on how they act, on they're only allowed to wear their hair certain ways, and they always have to have a full face of makeup every day. But
like to certain specifications.
Yeah.
So it's each girl had different specifications, which I thought was really
creepy.
Weird. Because when you think of private schools, you think like, of course there's a dress code. Everyone has to follow the dress code. Everyone has to, school, even public schools now, like you can't wear skirts above a certain length and stuff like that. So that you expect, but then they start sprinkling in that, I think Mina, who's the main character, it's mentions that the he's kind of like the headmaster, prefers her hair to be down. So she has to wear it down. Where another girl, it's preferred for her hair to be up, so she always has to wear it in a ponytail. And then another girl, it's preferred for her to have these colors or curly hair. And that is where it started to really take like a dark tone. And it's subtle, but it starts getting creepier.
It does.
I don't know. I thought that was so weird. Because like, he's taking a special interest in each person, and that just creeped me out.
No, yeah, it should. And especially when they have these balls and they're supposed to wear, like, they get provided a dress from the school, and they're like to certain specifications. Like one girl, she always wore short dresses because she had to have her legs on show.
Because they were her best asset.
Yep.
It's so weird. But it's weird too, because as they're going to the ball, the headmaster's meeting each one, and he like inspects them.
And if something's wrong, they have to go fix it before they can go to the party.
Like one of the girls has a breakdown at that moment, starts crying, and it's like, oh, you're gonna ruin your makeup. And it's upsetting to them that she's doing this. And so she's taken away. And it's, you know what's weird? Like what made it even worse though is that yes, all the men, we're gonna get into this now. Yes, all the teachers are men, but there is one female. She is the headmaster's wife, but she is also a teacher because she teaches them how to look this beautiful and how to maintain that appearance. And she
weighs them and measures them every month, was it?
I think it's every month.
Yeah.
Unless she notices that you're putting on a little weight, and then
you get a special weighing.
Yeah, and then they're all put on a diet if it's determined that the girls are looking a little, I can't remember the exact phrase, but basically if she thinks that they put on weight or if the weights are off,
they get put on a juice cleanse.
Yeah. Juice diets and like maybe oatmeal if you're lucky. Sometimes they really want chicken.
The one thing that annoyed me that Nana kept mentioning is that the teachers all eat in the same place as them, and they had full plates of everything, like
and they
steak,
can smell it,
mashed potatoes, and just all of it, and like right in front of the girls.
And it's almost like just driving it home every day to the girls that they should look a certain way, and this is all they should ever want. Like she mentions that yes, the men are there and they're eating full courses, but they mention that like they're not supposed to want to desire that.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to want to eat cookies, or they're not supposed to want to eat, like Mina has a big thing where she likes candy, so every time they go into town she always wants to get some, and she is confused on why this thing called sugar is so addicting. Like they don't know anything, like they know some stuff. It's so crazy, this book. But the author, again, going back to what kind of inspired her into writing this, she started with that, then the Billboard kind of inspired her to take it in this turn. But then everything that happened with the U.S. Olympic gymnastic team came out as she was writing this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she said that was a huge inspiration for her to write this book and have a group of young girls who are under the authority of male figures who they shouldn't have trusted and who betrayed that trust, and kind of their journey into coming out on the other side of that. So I didn't know that, and that
I didn't know that either.
Changes how I view it now. Like it was already bad. The book is very good. The plot line is crazy, but that also kind of changed it, because then you get
there's more of like a serious tone.
Yeah.
Like, even though there already was, it's more impactful.
Yeah, because then that changed it from being just this fantastical kind of dystopian but not really type of book to, okay, this is kind of happening already with some, different organizations and things. So is it that bad? Could it be that bad one day? I don't know. It just kind of changed my perspective on that even more, and kind of made it even more serious, and then made me even more angry. No, but it's a really good book, and it's, I don't know, how spoilery are we going to get in this?
It's up to you.
Okay. But okay, so then let's just go on to some of the other characters. So Mina's the main character. She's kind of the prized possession
pupil,
of the school. Well, not possession. Well, kind of. She's the prized pupil. She's the one that there's a counselor called Anton who they all trust, who he really seems to love her.
Yeah, and he's kind of portrayed, at least at first, as like a therapist type person, because he's the one who handles their emotional behavior. And kind of outbursts. Yeah,
like if they have negative thoughts, they're given impulse control therapy. And that's not a spoiler, it's said right in the summary. That's crazy.
We find out later what that is.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
But it's the thing is, even without knowing what it is, you can tell it's bad.
Yeah, because impulse control therapy, why you don't know what it is because their memories get erased, which kind of goes into the whole, like, is it dystopian, is it not thing. But they have impulse control therapy to rectify whatever issues they're having, and then they don't remember what exactly happened to them when they were in that situation.
They're just left with this feeling of dread.
Yeah.
Like she is so scared that she's going to have to go through it again, even though she doesn't remember what it is. And even though it's being administered by someone who they all love, they all trust him, and he's Anton. He's the one that they go to when they need a friend or something like that, because they're not able to contact their parents.
No. Yeah.
Well, they can, but it's through an assistant.
Right. That the school provides.
To the families. It's
Yes.
very strange. There's a lot that I feel like we can't give away.
Yeah.
But there's still just a lot to unpack with this novel, because the other girls, Mina's the main one. Her name is Philomena. Then there is her best friend, Sydney, who's a lot like her in that they are definitely the do-gooder types and they follow all the rules. But Sydney, even more so, I feel like, has bought into everything that the school's representing.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because she has a really strong support system with her parents that are constantly coming to the school, and they have a really close bond, whereas Philomena, her parents rarely ever come to the school, and so she's always by herself. And I think that aids to the whole Sydney associating the school with her parents, whom she loves, and all that.
And then there are other characters. There's Lennon Rose, who they love, who's kind of the innocent one. They have a really close group of friends, and Lennon Rose is the one who, she's very innocent, but she's also very curious, and they're all protective of her because she's the one to ask questions, and she does it in an innocent way. It's not like she's trying to say what's going on at this school. She just wonders things.
Yeah. And she's also kind of portrayed as being, like, very emotional, because she's mentioned by Philomena several times that she'll often, like, be crying somewhere for some reason, like small things that upset her. But at least Philomena thinks they're small.
And then it turns out later that it's a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And then there is Valentine, who's another character who, honestly, I think she's my favorite. Valentine was really strong.
Yes, she was.
She was the one who, I mean, first, the beginning of the book, she
says really weird stuff.
She says really weird stuff, but she's the first one to kind of rebel and react against what's happening at the school. And she's the first one that you see do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end well for her, because then she gets
Impulse control therapy.
She gets the impulse control therapy, which none of them can remember. Valentine doesn't remember. But even afterwards, she's still, something's up with her, and you can tell it throughout the entire book.
And she's, like, kind of slowly egging on Mina to, like,
she keeps
realize
saying these things to her.
What's happening. Yeah, she does.
And you're like, does she know something, or is she crazy? Because at this point, you're thinking everything in this book is crazy.
Yeah. And then Jackson.
Oh, yeah. Something like that. I think so. So should I check. I'm going to check really quick.
She meets him, the book starts out, they're on a field trip out of the school in their town that they're in, at a flower garden, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then on the way home, they stop at a convenience store, and that's where she meets Jackson. What's his name? Yes?
Yes, that was his name. And even that's kind of crazy, because honestly, that's your first scene in this book, and from the get-go, that had me hooked.
Yeah, because she's taking too long in the convenience store, so her guardian, these girls always have a guardian with them, which is kind of billed as a bodyguard, but it's actually more someone to keep them in line. Her bodyguard gets upset with her and goes in there and, like, drags her out by her arm, and she's kind of taken aback, but not so much because she's used to it. But then we see the reactions from Jackson and his friend who are in there as well, and that's when you start to see when at least Mina starts to see that maybe this isn't quite normal.
But even then, that's kind of, and this is all the first scene of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that that kind of hooked me immediately isn't because he grabs her, she's put on the bus, and then it's like, oh, something's wrong. She's starting to realize something's wrong. So that's how this book is going to go. No, she fully buys into it and says how sorry she feels and how guilty she feels. And
she shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have taken so long. She shouldn't have tried to buy candy.
And wants to apologize to him and goes to the doctor and says that she did something wrong and she's so sorry. And
it's upsetting.
It's so crazy, this book. It's also crazy because did it take place in modern day?
It kind of seems like it takes place like a little bit further in time, but like close enough to our time. Like a lot of it is similar to our time frame, but maybe like a few or 5 to 10 years in the future.
Because it mentions how like at one point they don't really talk about anything outside of the school. They don't talk about history because the girls don't really know history or current events or politics or anything like that. But it does make two mentions. One is that the president had at one point tried to shut down the internet or something like that. And another one is that, I can't remember. It mentions the technology. It mentions that one of the reasons that the technology company failed is that there had been a bunch of lobbyists who were trying to promote men's rights and get rid of women's rights.
Oh, yes.
So, and then somehow the technology company was tied into that or bought out by one of these lobbyists. But that's the only mentions it has of kind of time-wise where this might take place. So I don't know if it's almost like an alternative history or like what could happen. It's just crazy. Like I can't, that's not the word I'm going to keep using. Some of the other characters talking about the men at the school. So there's Dr. Groger, who is the girls' physical doctor. He takes care of all the girls when they're feeling ill. And also if they get like a cut, he gives them a skin graft and then it's like magically disappears. Yeah,
because they're not supposed to have scars of any kind, any kind of blemishes to their skin.
Yeah, because then that would be bad. There's Bose, who is the guardian.
Yes.
Who is a character.
Yeah, he's some.
Bose has problems. Anton is the counselor, and then
the headmaster.
Petrov is the headmaster, and then
his
wife is
one
Leandra.
Other teacher.
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy who does something.
It's crazy, these teachers, because they're teaching the girls what they're supposed to, so the etiquette and the how to behave and what you should do and how to use your beauty to influence people.
And one thing, side note,
ahead.
that I liked that was addressed throughout was like they're taught to let men take the lead and do as men say, but then when they do, at least Mina has several encounters where she does what a guy says, not from the school, but a man, because that's what she was taught. And then she gets back to the school and they're upset with her because she should know better than to do that. But it's like, you taught her to do that.
It's a huge double standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do address it a little bit in that girls should know that they could have this influence on men. So they need to know how to maneuver that into a way where they're still able to maintain their dignity and their purity, but they're not speaking out against the guy. So it's like, how do you do that though?
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know, it's crazy because that comes more into play. They have these kind of like parent-teacher nights where the parents show up.
Yes.
And also investors of the school. So they show up as well, and the girls are expected to kind of entertain and visit with their parents, but also with the investors, and show that they're investing in a school that's producing great young women for the future. And there's encounters there where it's like they are supposed to speak with the men a certain way, but then they're confused as to why these men aren't living up to the standard that they thought men were supposed to protect women and take care of them. And it's just crazy. I can't I don't know how else to describe this.
Yeah.
It's a really good book as far as It definitely has some social commentary into the expectations of women, and how that could go in the future, or kind of just opens your eyes a little bit to, especially with the fact that she wrote this because of the Olympic team. So it's stuff that could happen. Is kind of what the author, I feel like, is trying to say.
We need to be more wary and watchful of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, no, but it is, it's an eye-opener, but it is an extreme version, I feel like, of what could happen. But it's definitely interesting to read it and kind of see this world that the author has created. It seems like it's kind of where she fears the world is going, and just to kind of see little subtle instances or roots of how it could be tied into modern day. So it is a good book if you're into learning about, I guess, just women's rights in general, or just even if you're just into dystopians. I feel like it has that vibe of questioning authority and trying to figure out if the people in authority or in charge, if they are trustworthy, and if they're not, what do you do about that? How do you take responsibility for yourself or for those around you that you want to protect, and get to that point where things are okay again?
I will also say, if you're going to read this, things do get a little violent, and it's somewhat graphic in a sense. So if that's not something that you're comfortable with, I would not.
There are one or two curse words that I was surprised about.
I didn't even notice them.
I did. I was like, oh, this is where this is going. It's definitely an intense book.
Yeah.
Even just based on the themes, but on how it deals with it, it's definitely intense. But it is also, I think, meant to be an empowering book for young girls who, even if you haven't been in some situations where you could relate to that, I feel like it's still meant to empower you, that you can kind of take whatever narrative your life is going into and or following, and kind of take charge of that and lead it into a way that you want it to go, and you're not relying on someone else to make decisions for you. It is a series, so there's going to be another book. I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, the way this one ends is a little bit of a weird situation. So it looks like it's going to go into like 2 different storylines in the next one, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know how much I can say without giving away.
Yeah, we can't say too much.
But
we've decided no spoilers.
It does end, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger.
No.
But there's enough given that you definitely want to read the next book to see how these characters are going to go. But then there's also this other storyline that's kind of introduced, that was kind of sprinkled throughout, but then it's just, I'm going to use the word crazy again, but
insane.
Yes, it's insane. But it's going to be interesting to see how those two, if they come back in and interact, how these two storylines, how they're going to affect each other, or if they're both headed in the same direction. I don't know. There's one that I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions on it. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't know.
What's happening?
What's happening in that storyline, and then on this one, just how they're going to continue. One thing we didn't talk about was the vitamins.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a huge part of the book.
Yes, it's part of their daily regimen, I think, at night just. It wasn't morning and night, it was just at night.
I think it's just at night.
They are given vitamins unlabeled by the school that they are supposed to take every night, and they monitor them. So sometimes they'll have a higher dosage of something if something is going on. And they're unlabeled, they're just color-coded pills, basically, and they're supposed to take them every night.
And sometimes it gives them headaches, but they don't question it because they're taught not to question. I can tell you, in everything that we've said, this book does not go where you think it's going to go.
No.
There's a huge twist. And this isn't even the twist to that second storyline where we don't know where that's going. This is a completely different twist. It's definitely an interesting book. Even if you're not into a book that's about social commentary and women's rights, I would still say this is a good book to read purely as a thriller and a mystery.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it would be that much of a mystery going into it. I thought it was just going to be teachers can't be trusted, and this girl goes and rescues the school. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we can't say a lot, because there's a lot that happens.
There's a lot of a lot.
There's a lot of a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really good book, I thought.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I had a lot of reactions and emotions to this one. I'm definitely going to read the second one.
100%, yeah.
The library will be getting the second one. So if you want to start a new series, and this sounds like you're into either strong female characters,
Horrible men.
Well, I was going to go with shady authority. I mean, because I don't want to make it sound like we're bashing everyone in here, but shady authority. Just definitely, if you want a good mystery with a good twist and an ending that you don't see coming,
Yeah.
definitely that one.
Violence.
Violence, it is, or if you're just looking for an intense read, but that's also kind of just, I felt like it was fast-paced. Did you?
I don't know. No.
No?
I do know. No, I didn't feel like it was fast-paced, but it keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're constantly learning a new thing that you didn't know before. But there's not a lot of action, especially in the beginning. I think towards the end is when we start getting some things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, in the beginning and the middle, it's like, I would say slower.
I mean, I guess that's true. I guess what I meant is I feel like it's a quick read because I was constantly wanting to figure out what is happening. So I got through it within 2, maybe 3 days. It was actually pretty fast for me, which isn't normal at all. But you're constantly wanting to know, okay, what just happened?
Why
How does
is
that
this
relate
happening?
to everyone? What's happening to the rest of the characters? And then you want to go back and see if something that happened before related to what you
Yes.
because there are, like, everything kind of builds on top of each other, which is crazy. But
And it's done so well. Props to Suzanne Young.
it really is. This
Yeah.
isn't her debut, but it is. She's written other ones that were kind of dystopian-ish. She wrote, I don't know if it's called the Treatment series, but it's like the Remedy, the Treatment, the Program, I think, is the first book in that series. So it's another kind of teens in this shady situation trying to figure out what's going on and if their reality is actual reality. But this one definitely done very, very well, and I'm excited to see what the second one does.
Yes.
Because I'm mainly excited to see what happens to some of these characters and if they're okay.
We need to know.
I need to know. But I guess, I don't know, is there anything else that you wanted to point out about this book?
I mean, not spoiler free.
Yeah, there's a lot that I would like to say and
Yes.
discuss, but I can't. But if you're interested in this book is here. It's available at the library. It is part of the Florida Teens Reads 2020-2021. It's a really long title. Collection.
Yeah.
So this is the program that you can vote on in
March.
March.
I think it's towards the end or middle of March. That is done through your school, so you would go to your library specialist to find out the login for that.
And then vote on which one you think is the book of the year for the Florida Teen Reads, which, I mean, I've only read one, but right now it's a strong
Top
contender.
choice.
It's a really strong contender. But our second one, if you want to join us next month, is going to be...
Ta-da! Aurora Rising.
Yes, so this one is Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman
Kaufman.
and Jay Kristoff. I always mess up the last names. So this one is definitely a completely different genre.
Yes.
This one is
Sci-fi.
sci-fi, right?
Yeah, sci-fi fantasy. It's the same authors who wrote the Illuminate series, so I think it's in the same vein. It's about a space cadet flying team that stumbles upon a cryogenically frozen woman young lady.
Girl.
Yes. Who's been frozen, I think it says like 1,000 years? A very long time. And I think it's figuring out what's going on with her and why there's a war happening, right?
Yeah, I know that there's there's an intergalactic war. Something's going on in this book. It's in space. There are rockets, I'm sure, ships. But it's a ragtag team, so it mentions that it's made up of a cocky diplomat with a black belt in sarcasm, which I'm probably going to love, a sociopath scientist with a fondness for shooting her bunkmates. Okay, that makes sense. I might like that one. Smart tech whiz with the galaxy's biggest chip on his shoulder, an alien warrior with anger management issues, and a tomboy pilot who's totally not into Ty, in case you were wondering. Mm-hmm. Ty is the leader of the squadron, who thought he was going to get
the perfect team. Yeah.
And ended up with the list that I just read. So, I mean, it sounds, honestly, from that, it sounds like it might be funny.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be like a epic space adventure type book.
Which is usually not my interest, but I am interested to read this because I have been hearing a lot about it. And the second one just came out, which is, I don't remember the title. It's
Something
a red
rising.
cover. I think it also says Aurora. But I don't know. I'm excited to read this one.
And that will be on the last Thursday of September.
Which is, if I pull up the calendar. So that will be September 17th, also at 4 p.m. And in case you missed the initial announcement of the book club at the end of our Florida Teens Reads book haul, anyone who attends the live sessions of these book clubs does get community service credit. So if it goes on for a half hour, we'll give you a half hour. If it goes on a little longer than that, we will give you the full hour. And that's just for the students who participate, but it is open to everyone. Anyone who reads YA, I definitely do, and I'm an adult. Mm-hmm. So to kind of a little incentive for that, we are going to give a prize to anyone who comments during the live, or you'll be entered into a prize. Everyone's not getting a prize. I said that wrong. So anyone who comments during the live will be entered into a prize drawing. And then anyone who comments during the first week that the video goes up on our YouTube channel will also be entered into a prize drawing. So there's potential to win 2 prizes. But yeah, I think that's it for today. So the book club choices that we are going to read are going to be announced every month for the next month. Mm-hmm. The next 8-9 months are going to be off of the Florida Teen Reads list. But they have really good choices, so don't worry about any bad ones, because that first one was not expected and it was so good. But if this is good and it continues, then we will definitely take suggestions on books that you would like to see. And like I said, it's open to everyone. You don't have to be a teen, so I'm definitely not.
Yeah, me either.
But if you like this type of video or are interested in any other suggestions on book reviews that you would maybe like to see us do on this channel, or just have any other thing that you want to see, just let us know, and we hope to see you here next time.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.